Hello everybody, welcome back to Screen Stars and welcome to another of my double reviews. Today's review is for Red and Red 2. Now I've recently picked up the Red collection, which has Red and Red 2. I had seen the first Red a number of years ago. I remember quite liking it, but I'd never seen the second one. So I've rewatched both of them to prepare for this review. Now Red is based on a DC property, which I wasn't particularly aware of before the films. I hadn't seen any of the DC comics. I don't really read a lot of comics these days, so I'm basing these movies just off the movies and not in any way comparing it to the DC properties. So the first Red was released in 2010, which is actually a lot longer ago than I expected it to be. And obviously we get Bruce Willis, Morgan Freeman, John Malkovich, Mary Louise Parker, Helen Mirren, and it focuses on Bruce Willis's character, who is a retired operative, CIA operative, and he is having like a telephone relationship with Mary Louise Parker, and they finally agree to meet. And then something happens. Someone attempts to take out Bruce Willis, and then he's reactivated in the sense of he has to figure out who's trying to kill him, and he enlists the help of some former operatives like Morgan Freeman, John Malkovich, and Helen Mirren to help him figure out what's going on. And essentially, it's a bit of a convoluted plot as to what's going on. The Vice President of the United States is trying to take out all operatives that may well know what a bad guy is, really. Something he did many years ago in a foreign country, and they've got knowledge of it, so he's trying to clean up house before he runs for the presidency. And Bruce Willis and his friends are not going to stand for it, basically. Now, this film has a lot of charm. It's an action comedy. Bruce Willis could do these type of movies kind of blindfolded, really. He's got a lot of on-screen charm. He's always had to have that on screen. Less so in recent years. Thankfully, it's still here in this film, and Bruce Willis is very good in this role. I think the standout performance here is John Malkovich, who plays this again retired operative who was on LSD for 10 years. He's absolutely crazy. He's very good as well, and Helen Mirren, they kind of turn into a bit of an action star in this film. It's nice to see these veteran actors, if you like, teaming up and like owning the screen and doing really well. The central romance here between Mary Louise Parker and Bruce Willis actually works, because he has to go and find her because he knows she's in danger, because he knows that the people that are trying to kill him will figure out fairly quickly that he's been in contact with her on the phone, so he has to protect her. So she's like thrust into this world she knows nothing about. She's initially terrified, but ultimately gets a bit of a kick out of it. And there's some really good chemistry between her and Bruce Willis that really helps move the film forward. The action scenes are all really nicely done. Yes, there are a few moments. I think, like I say, the convoluted plot really doesn't think helps the film at all. You kind of just want it to get on with the action and the funny bits. When it tries to actually tell a story, it doesn't particularly work. Carl Urban's in the film, who plays like this operative that's tasked with bringing Bruce Willis down. There's a nice rivalry develops between him and Bruce Willis, and a great fight scene between them that ultimately gives a nice bit of a surprise by the end, and Carl Urban's character has a bit of an arc in the film. So it is really fun, really watchable. We've got an appearance by Richard Dreyfuss as well in the film, one of my favourite actors. Always appreciate seeing him in films. There's a death scene in the film that is really poorly handled, I think. Quite a major character as well, and you think, is that it? But ultimately, it is a really fun and entertaining film, and it's one of those you can put on, and as long as you can not really take the plot seriously, because the film doesn't really take the plot seriously, doesn't put enough time and effort into that. Thankfully, the cast make this film really watchable, and they're really nicely done action scenes. So, a really fun film. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10, which then leads us nicely on to Red 2. Now, Red 2 was released in 2013, 3 years after the first one, and this time round we get the same cast, obviously Bruce Willis, John Malkovich, Mary Louise Parker, Helen Mirren, but also we get actors like Catherine Zeta-Jones and Anthony Hopkins added to the mix this time round. And this time round, Bruce Willis and Mary Louise Parker are actually a couple now. They're living together. He wants to stay retired. She doesn't want him to stay retired because she likes the excitement of it all. He gets contacted again by John Malkovich. That basically says, you know, things aren't right. We're in trouble again. And again, the big weakness of this film is the plot. And the plot this time round is some kind of weapon that has been created by Anthony Hopkins' character. That has been stored somewhere called Nightshade, is it? Or something like that. And it's been leaked that Bruce Willis and others know about this weapon and where it is, etc. So everybody's out to kill them once again. So it's almost like a carbon copy of the first one. However, if I'm being particularly honest here, I actually preferred the second one ever so slightly over the first one, and my wife agreed when we were watching this. It was almost like the characters here now felt very familiar in these roles. You know, they knew what they were doing. The chemistry was already there, and then they added in, you know, these other experienced actors into the mix. And I thought Anthony Hopkins was just brilliant in this film. He played this character, this really eccentric professor type character, and it's wonderful to see him. He's just bonkers. And then ultimately we get this twist in the film with his character that he pulls off effortlessly, and it really worked as well. I really liked that. The addition of Catherine Zeta-Jones felt a little bit forced, but you know, it was okay. And a couple of other characters felt like they were just added in just to give us an extra action scene here and there. We do get Byung Hun Lee, who I'm guessing is quite a famous Asian actor. Very good martial artist. He's essentially put on Bruce Willis's tail. They put a contract out on Bruce Willis, and he decides to take up that contract. So you get him popping up now and again, trying to take out Bruce Willis. So that adds more action scenes to the mix. But you got the impression that he was there really only for that, to give us some extra action scenes. I thought there was a nice nod to the Bourne identity in this film. There was like a car chase through the streets of Paris that felt very Bourne-like, if I'm being honest. So yeah, I thought it was a really super entertaining film, this. I thought it was a little bit funnier than the first one. The jokes hit a little bit more. The action, I think, was fine in regards to how the first one as well. They're both very similar in regards to the action. It all works. The character just felt a little. The actors felt a little bit more comfortable with these characters now, and it felt like they understood them better. They understood the dynamics better, and they were really, you know, bouncing off each other in regards to, you know, the dialogue and things like that. And it just worked. Again, John Malkovich was brilliant in this one. Felt like they'd kind of maybe cranked his craziness down ever so slightly, but didn't harm his character at all. I thought it was really fun to see him. Helen Mirren, I thought, had a little bit of a bigger part this time round. Very good. She was excellent again in the film. Really badass. A couple of really nice scenes for her. And basically, if you enjoyed the first one, you will enjoy the second one. And I enjoyed it slightly more than the first one, which is why I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. So those are my reviews for Red and Red 2. I hope you liked the reviews. Thanks for watching, everybody. And of course, I will be back with more reviews very soon.